Okay, let's talk about working with users in Microsoft Azure. Now, it used to be Azure Active Directory. Microsoft has changed the name of it. It is now Microsoft Entra ID. So you can see it here in my Azure services because I was just recently in there. Remember, these will populate based on what you use most often. You can always find what you want down here. So I'm going to come to Microsoft Entra ID. I'm going to start by creating a user. Now I'm going to collapse this real quick so you can see what this looks like. Here's where we can overview, preview features, diagnose and solve problems. On our overview, it's going to give us a bunch of information. We can go to monitoring and properties and recommendations and setup guides. Here, this gives us a quick way to add. So I can add a user and a new user or an external user. I can add a group, an enterprise application, or an app registration. Now, if I want to manage things, get that to go away, I can come down here and expand manage. And here I can manage users, groups, external identities, roles, and administrators. And this gives me a whole bunch more information that I can work with. So let's start by creating a user here. So I'm going to go to users. And I have one user, that's me. So I want to create a new user. So up here is my new user. Now, real quick, this is going to give me a new user or invite an external. This is a user from another company that I want to collaborate with. This gives me my options to delete or to download users. This is my bulk operations to bulk create, bulk invite, or bulk delete, refresh, and then manage the view. So let's create a new user. And I'm going to start with the user principal name. So this is going to be their login information. I'm going to do F. Weasley. And then the nickname was derived from the user principal name, or I can uncheck that and set my own. I'm going to go ahead and leave that the way it's set. The display name, I'm going to do Fred Weasley. And then the password we can have auto-generated, or we can manually set the password. So I'm going to click this little show button here, and this will show us what our password is randomly set for. The auto-generate one is the default. And what will have to happen is I will have to communicate this password to whoever the user is that I'm creating. So I can copy and paste that, or copy that here and then paste it somewhere else. If I want to set my own, I uncheck that, and I'm going to put in my own password. Let's do one exclamation point. And then that will give me a password. And by default, by the way, that's blanked out. So that will this will let me double check, make sure I spelled it correctly, and then I can communicate that to Fred. And then I can also create an account that's disabled by default just by unchecking this. Now, like other things with Azure, I've got multiple tabs across the top here, and so I can jump from tab to tab, or I can use my next button down here to move me over to the next one. And then I have my review and create, because I've got everything that I actually need in order to create this user now. So I can just jump to review and create if I don't want to put in anything else. But I want to go ahead and walk through this so you can see this. So I'm going to put in my username. Let's do Fred, first name. Weasley is going to be a member. We can put in job information here. So I'm going to say this is a student at Hogwarts, the department. Okay, and you can see we can populate a bunch of information here. Employee ID, employee type, hire date, office location, contact information, parental controls, and then usage location. Let me go to my assignments, and here I can add my new user to a group or to a role. Now the group here, these are going to be groups that I create. We're going to talk about groups in a subsequent video here. And then we have roles, and this is going to be directory roles inside Microsoft Azure. So I can give them some capabilities, like I can make somebody a user administrator or a tenant creator or a Teams administrator, or you get the idea. This is going to be roles that give them additional permissions. And then my last step is to review and create. And again, we have our user principal name, we have our display name, and then all, well, basic information that we created. When we're happy with it, we click create, and that creates a new user. So successfully created user, Fred Weasley. Now notice that has not popped up here yet. I'm going to refresh my screen here. You go away. And there we go. We have a new user. Okay, if I want to work with the user, so I can delete users, I can password reset or look at user settings. So here in Fred Weasley, I can select, if I'm going to do bulk operations, I can select multiple users. I can also click on the user itself if I just want to deal with this one. And this is going to give me overview of the student. If I need to disable the account, I can do that here. Account status currently enabled. Let me click on edit, and then I'm going to uncheck that and save, and it's going to disable Fred Weasley's account. I can edit my properties here. I can delete, reset password, revoke sessions, manage the view, look up monitoring, which requires a premium license, and I'm on an educational trial account, and look at properties. Okay. So hopefully that gives you a pretty quick idea, let me head back to users here, of how we can create, delete, and manage our individual users inside the Microsoft Azure environment. Now, I do want you to be aware that we do have bulk operations where we can bulk create, bulk invite, and bulk delete. And that becomes handy if we are dealing with a lot, if we want to do something with a lot of different accounts at the same time. Remember, the invite is to invite an external user, so a user in a different organization to come collaborate. Okay, there we go. There is your quick overview of dealing with users in Microsoft Azure.